You know, like I don't know. I used to steal it from one of my lines, and I'm not sure if it's mine or some other person like Mark Twain or something like that. They said if Julius Caesar spoke Latin the way you guys do in this class, he would have ended up a sergeant in a Roman stockpile somewhere. You know, so it wasn't that you learned in real clear ways certain things. You know, I mean, 4 years of Latin. But you only have to remember a couple things. All of Gaul is divided into 3 parts. You know, I mean, who can quibble with that? From the looks on some of your faces, you paid less attention in that class than I did. Because I saw one guy in the back said, "Gee, I thought it was 5 parts." Of course it wasn't. What we learned here is something that is not just a lesson, but it's something much more clear than that. You know, it's something that kind of shows you the possibilities of what you could do. It's it's a situation where you can remember, you can remember different things that a John Hanna or a Father Rooney or Joe Costa said to you. Of course, you all know Costa was the disciplinarian, and Jim Rooney, I don't know what his job was when I was here, but he was the most frightening individual that you can imagine. And for some of you that don't know any of the stories about him, Jerry will fill you in. But it was his job to make sure that people understood that when you arrived at Bellarmine, it wasn't some kind of a joke. You know, it wasn't a situation where you can just think that it's going to be the same as what it was before. And it very quickly would get through the freshman wing that, that kind of tall guy, that father, whoever he was, such and such said something to him, and he doubled him up with a shot to the stomach. never left a mark. Oh yeah, sure, I'm sure that happened and stuff. And then you saw a poor kid laying over the ground, and you figured, I wonder if that story is true. And then when it happened next month, you knew that there was something going on here. And then later you would learn that the guy had about 56 professional fights. I don't mean the guy on the ground, I mean Father Rooney. And that was the kind of lessons that you don't forget. And it was the kind of lessons I think it's important, particularly if you're walking in not understanding that there are many elements to Bellarmine, and most of them are excellent, and all of them are noteworthy of remembrance. And I was always hoping that guy Tom Horton would be one of the guys that got punched by Father Rooney, but of course I never did. But the few interactions I had with our current disciplinarian, Joe Costa, when I was here, he was another. He wasn't frightening, but he was very intimidating. You know, I asked somebody here if there are any Jesuits here that people are really afraid of. You know, of course they respect certain of them with the answers, and they're concerned. They want to get good grades. Now I said, is there anybody you're really afraid of? And they kind of look at you. I mean, we were really very afraid of some of this. And I think that's pretty healthy. Father Costa, we had a tradition around our house and it's all in the Bellarmine book, so I hope you'll read it, dyeing our hair green on St. Patrick's Day. We thought that was better than drinking green beer or something, and my brother got in a lot of trouble from Father Costa because he showed up with green hair. Father Costa called up my mother and said, Mrs. McHenry, John showed up here with green hair, and I want you to come over and explain, exactly why she had to come pick him up. And she said, Father Joe, my hair's green too. And he said, thank you, Margaret. So he didn't say a lot to me, because I think he thought during my years here, you kind of let sleeping dogs lie. He wasn't quite sure that these McHenrys were a little bit different Irish people. He just said to me one day, it was about March 15th or something like that, he said, you're not coming to school with your hair green, are you? No, Father. And I didn't. And I think that was one of the first lessons that I learned that helped me a lot in politics. When you're really frightened of somebody who can hurt you, just kind of agree with them. You never know what these guys are going to do. So we'll kind of wrap up here this evening, although I know most of you probably really have nowhere to go to. You know what, we hear, are there even any samples left in town? Let's call it pasta pomodoro. If we edit this speech, let's call it, where are you going, Skip?